On the 13th of July 2026, this YouTube channel turns 13 years old. It was created on the 13th of July 2013, back when I myself was just 13 years old. This means that, as of this very day, I have officially had this YouTube channel for exactly half of my life. And yes, I am unfortunately 26 now. Your Auntie Nitro is an old woman. I have numerous grey hairs. My back hurts all the time. Cremate me now before I start to smell. And it's a strange thing to say that I've had a YouTube channel for half of my life. At this point, it's got to be one of the oldest things that I own and still consistently use. It's certainly my oldest extant internet account. My ongoing Duolingo streak is also coming up on a third of my lifetime, and yet I've not made all that much progress in any of the languages I've tried to learn. I wouldn't consider myself a Duolingoer in the same way I consider myself a YouTuber. I think it's because my YouTube channel is just this absolute time capsule of my life. I'm only ever a few clicks away from the silly little vlogs I made at 13, the videos and all the little video tests I made during my years studying creative media production at college, all the griping I did about my university work and the gaming videos I made during undergrad. It's just all of these different versions of me preserved in internet amber that I can just revisit at any time. I mean, look at this thing. Look at this weird-ass little bug. It has no idea what's going to happen to it. It has no idea that it's going to drop out of school in a few months. It has no idea how it's going to have to claw its way back into education. It has no idea that it will eventually be a master's degree student. Look at that sweet, little, oblivious face. Now, I'm not going to give you the whole history of my YouTube channel from the beginning again, as I feel like I covered all of that well enough in my Decade of Nitr09 retrospective 3 years ago. I'd just like to dig a little deeper into my very first video, A Day in the Park. And yes, as an adult, I know the title works better as A Day at the Park, and when I made the sequel in 2023, I even considered naming it that, but nope, for old time's sake, I left the sort of mistake behind. So, A Day in the Park was the product of a picnic trip to the park I took with my parents, my brother, and my friend from school on the 13th of July 2013. I won't name them here, but if you're watching this, hi. We went to the park with the intention of making the video, but we had absolutely no plan in mind, hence why it is just us messing around. We also had these little fun toy rockets with us, which I think came from one of my aunts who worked at like a novelty toy company and got a bunch of stuff like that free. Though we did end up losing a bunch of the rockets in the trees when we were firing them, if I'm remembering correctly. Sorry, auntie. And then we rushed home and edited the video on Windows Movie Maker, because of course it was Windows Movie Maker. A Day in the Park is absolutely prime Movie Maker-nalia. The captions, the transitions, it's just mwah, perfection. Once we were finished editing, I created this YouTube channel. We were ready and all excited to upload the video, and then my parents just had to come and stick their noses in. They said, quite reasonably in hindsight I suppose, that even though they had said yes to me having a YouTube channel and showing my face to the internet, they had no idea what my friend's mother would think about that. My friend did have a YouTube channel of their own. It's in the credits of A Day in the Park, but their videos were all faceless stop-motion animations, which, for a 13-year-old, I suppose they're a whole different beast to having your whole face and voice out there for all to see. The solution to this was one of these things that just sounds absolutely ludicrous now in 2026. We burnt this 1.5-minute YouTube video to a whole-ass DVD. My friend took it home with them, and then the next day their mother would call mine on the landline house phone to discuss whether or not they approved. And their mother did approve, which is why A Day in the Park ended up uploaded. But it was uploaded on the 14th of July, the day after the channel's creation, and not on the 13th when the channel was first created. And now a little about the titular park from A Day in the Park. This is Nicholas Everett Park, not that I really have all that much of an idea of who Nicholas Everett even was. It gained some minor international attention back in the August of 2021, when it was graced by the artist Banksy as a part of his Great British Spraycation, as it is home to his piece, We're All in the Same Boat. When the artwork was new, it did actually have a metal boat there, but it was confiscated by the council, which I actually quite like as a sort of metaphor. We were all in the same boat, but then the government took it away. But before all of that, it was always just the nice park I went to with my family. And it's one of the few places that has remained consistently nice, while most others have become increasingly run down. And besides being the location for my first ever YouTube video, it has had a larger hidden presence on my YouTube channel overall. When you see swans in my YouTube videos, well, that was probably filmed at Nicholas Everett Park. And a lot of the time when you see ducks in my videos, that's also at Nicholas Everett Park. The Nicholas Everett ducks are actually kind of interesting. Somehow a bunch of white domestic ducks have ended up living in the wild there. My pet theory is perhaps they escaped from the nearby petting zoo, and a bunch of the wild ducks there are strange domestic wild crosses with these interesting patterns. I have heard it said that domestic ducks that are dumped into the wild don't make it all that long, but all of these guys seem to be doing all right. Unless it is somehow an illusion and the ducks are dying, but a slow trickle of new releases makes it look like the white domestic population is stable. Who knows? Also, there is one more thing about the original Day in the Park which I think warrants some explanation. It is this joke, one of very few spoken lines of dialogue in the video.
I'm monostatic! What's that?
Yeah, it's not even a lame attempt at humour as my caption suggested. It's just not a joke. An anti-joke, if you will. Just a random term put in there for seemingly absolutely no reason. And for years I was completely baffled as to what the context for this could have been. But recently I've been doing some reminiscing, and I think I just about remember what I was on about here. Now, when I was 13, I was strangely obsessed with the UK TV channel Dave. Its whole ethos back then was like classic comedy and panel shows for drunken middle-aged men to watch late at night after stumbling home from the pub. So, in hindsight, it's really strange that it was something I was into, because it was one of those things that was just not meant for my demographic. And because I was such a little nerd, my favourite show to watch on Dave was the panel show QI. And in one episode they had a physicist come in with this object he'd created called the Gombok to demonstrate what it means for an object to be monostatic or self-righting. Think those old toys like Weebles or Mighty Beans, things that pop back up when you push them over. I think at some point I tried to explain this to my friend, but since we were giggly lol-so-random teenagers, we also just decided that the word monostatic was inexplicably funny, in the same vein as how the name Bob was inexplicably funny, or how the concept of a spork was hilarious, and it became this sort of weird in-joke between us. And because we never expected very much to come from this silly YouTube thing, I don't think it even popped into my mind that this channel would still exist in 13 years. This silly little in-joke made it into the video and into channel lore. And I guess, in a way, I myself am monostatic. When I'm knocked down, I just get right back up. So, in the earliest days of my YouTube channel, I had a strange attitude towards copyright.
Oh, and talking of Christmas adverts, our favourite four blue slimy people are back. No, I'm not talking about One Direction, I'm talking about those aliens that represent that British catalogue company. You know the one, they sell electronics and toys and other kind of random junk.
British catalogue company. It's Argos. You're allowed to call it Argos. Mentioning something is not copyright infringement.
Well, that's it for today. Better go before the copyright lawyers drag me off to their torture chambers. See ya!
Yeah, they don't have those. They're not going to do that to you. I'm not really sure where this attitude came from. Perhaps I had just heard the YouTubers I liked talking about copyright strikes, and I just sort of internalized them as an existential threat. I don't know. Except, I didn't really apply this attitude consistently. In my earliest videos, there are 2 examples of the teensy-weensiest bit of musical plagiarism. Not on purpose, of course. I'll explain later how I think these things happened. And they took me forever to notice too. I only noticed in the past few weeks, as I've been watching a lot of my old videos to brainstorm for this one. The first one came at the end of my first ever vlog, which I ended with this little ditty.
That is the end of the vlog today. I'm singing this song 'cause there's no more to say, yeah!
I was listening to this when it just sparked something deep in the back of my head. I knew it sounded familiar, I just couldn't quite... I knew it was from an advert, so I started searching. Was it a shampoo advert, a laundry detergent advert, or it couldn't be a toothpaste advert, could it? And then I found it.
We want blue stripes, we want white, we want the red stripes, but that's alright.
That was a clip from an Aquafresh advert from the 1980s that I think must have been rerun sometime during my childhood. Of course, it's not a perfect one-to-one match, but if you're not convinced, I made this comparison that painstakingly lines both tunes up at the same tempo. Listen to this.
That is the end of the vlog today.
Now this is journalism! Yeehaw!
Ah, it's Hedge Bomber Guy! He's come to get me! The second example of my musical plagiarism came at the end of Silly Things That People Say, from my incredibly brief stint of trying to be a quote-unquote animator. Now, for the record, I absolutely hate this video. The visuals are bad, the voice acting is god-awful, the quote-unquote dark comedy is just in very poor taste generally, and it just goes to show that little me was really going through some stuff. But towards the end, it has this interesting little logo bit.
We're best friends! Not in a million billion, yeah!
Yeah, so these 2 characters, who I guess are called Norris and Ted, given that only one person ever entered the naming competition, sing this little jingle. It's sort of cheeky, isn't it? Abrasive. One might even call it horrid. Yes, that jingle was ripped straight out of the Horrid Henry episode, Horrid Henry and the Time Capsule.
Not in a million trillion years!
During my childhood, Horrid Henry was played almost constantly on the CRTV channel. There were even days where I think that was all they played from morning to evening, which I think were called Purple Hand Gang takeovers. I think once there might have been a whole week during a summer holiday that was just absolutely nothing but Horrid Henry. This leads me nicely onto why I think these things happen. Now, no creative work is truly original, really. At our core, all we are is a bunch of naked apes, and what we call art is really just a long history of enculturation, leading all the way back to when Ugg and Grug first painted the mammoth on the wall of their cave in Asquillian BC. Sometimes when you're doing something creative, you can put the pieces together with just enough novelty to make something that's entirely yours. And then other times your brain sneakily grabs something from the pick and mix bin of unattributed fragments in the back of your subconscious. Horrid Henry and the Aquafresh advert were things that were repeated enough for my brain to squirrel them away in a little hidey hole. And then they just happened to escape without my noticing. Whoops. Sorry. Okay, so I know this is a stupid thing to do to end this video, as it is in reference to a video that I made that literally got like 25 views. If you're watching this, you probably never saw it, and the video is in no way notable to the history of my channel whatsoever. But ever since I made that video about my strange dreams, ever since I had that dream about the sprite with brine, the idea of actually trying sprite with brine has been my white whale. So backstory. One time I had this strange anxiety dream about going into a nautical themed fast food restaurant where the only drink they served was sprite with brine. It's like one of those very neurodivergent anxiety dreams where everyone is doing something that feels fundamentally gross and wrong to you, but you're not allowed to question or deviate from it. Here, I'll just run the whole clip for you. I just had a dream. I was in a fast food restaurant and trying to order a drink. I wanted Sprite, but for some reason they only served Sprite with brine. I asked the server if they could do me a Sprite without the brine, and they just said no. Then I wanted to order some fries, and for some reason they only served their fries with tiny fried fish heads and hearts on top of them. I asked if I could have my fries plain, and they said no. I asked if they could at least put the fish heads and hearts on the side in a little paper cup so I could take them home and give them to my cats, and they also said no. The last thing I remember before waking up was me being too embarrassed to walk away and ordering the stuff anyway. I woke up a few minutes ago, and the absurdity of Sprite with brine keeps making me laugh. Yeah. And after that, I wanted to try the Sprite with brine. Or sprine, I guess. But before I show you the footage of me trying the sprine, I just want to warn you against trying this at home. Brine is salty. Too much salt is bad for your kidneys and blood and brain and pretty much all of your body parts, who are only your friends who want to help you to live. I am already ruined. It is already too late for me, but your life is precious. And so, here we are in my aunt's kitchen for the Sprite with brine taste test from my Sprite with brine nautical themed fast food restaurant anxiety dream. We have the Sprite, and I have bought several types of brine for us to sample the Sprite with, because my dream was not specific on what kind of brine Sprite with brine required. We've got pitted green olives in brine. We have tuna in brine, which I suppose, if the restaurant in my dream was nautical themed, it would likely be this brine. We also have plain old tap water with sodium chloride, the pedestrian choice for Sprite with brine. And we've got a little sherry glass to sample the brine, the Sprite with brine with. I think first, get the baseline Sprite flavour. I'm just going to have a bit fizzy there. Going to have regular Sprite. Yep, that's Sprite. I can already smell the brine, which is affecting the flavour somewhat. There. Baseline done. And I think the first Sprite with brine that I'm going to try is the Sprite with tuna brine. It's hard to film and pour at the same time. It's half Sprite and... oh dear. Oh, it's an ominous, murky, yellowish colour. If I would not want to drink a glass of that if I were not compelled. Oh god, it's actually sort of nice. Yeah. It's a very weird flavour experience. There's like a vomity undertone as drinking anything very, very salinated does to you. Oh, there is a sort of like oceanic appeal though to Sprite with tuna brine. Oh, one Sprite with brine, 1 sprine tasted. And the next Sprite with brine we're going to try is Sprite with olive brine. It's halfway Sprite, and you're gonna see how weak I am trying to open a jar of olives on camera. Oh no, I got it straight away. Nitro is surprisingly strong, and I'm a huge olive lover, so hopefully I'll like this one. And again, a very ominous colour. It's not as good as the tuna one. No. No. I do not like Sprite with olive brine. I couldn't even do a sip 2 of that. I had to go and change the camera battery. I took the second doomed retching sip of Sprite with olive brine, and my camera started flashing that it was running out of batteries. The scene was so cursed that my camera did not want me to continue filming. And now the third Sprite with just plain old salt water, sodium chloride and H2O. Oh dear. I am making a mess of my aunt's kitchen. I am very sorry. Sorry, auntie. A different auntie than the last auntie I was sorry towards. I'm really making all of my aunties angry with me with this anniversary video. Yeah, this one's in the middle. I actually quite liked the tuna one. The olive one made me immediately retch. This one, it's mostly Sprite, but salty. It's just salty Sprite. I think this third one, is the most dream accurate Sprite with brine. So if you are going to not heed my warnings against drinking sprine, then it is the table salt and water sprine that is the most authentic, I think. And that was me trying Sprite with brine. And the tuna sprine was actually kind of good. I think the tiny dose of meatiness from the tuna added something that went well with the sweetness of the Sprite. If I had to match sprine to, like, what the taste makes me imagine, I'd say it's like taking the lid off of one of those wet preserved zoological specimens and just taking a sip. Or, it's sort of what I like to imagine brain fluid from my old Heat Legend green text video tastes like. And on that note, I think I'm gonna end the video. Thank you, my dear Nitro heads, for 13 perfectly cromulent years. Don't like, don't subscribe, and if I don't die of sprine toxicity, I hope to see you again in another video soon.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.